Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with yours truly, Tom Alvarez. My guest on today's episode is Michael Johnson, founding artistic director of Kids Dance Outreach. Also known as KDO, it's an arts program that transforms kids' lives in a profound way through dance. Join me now as I go on the aisle in a conversation with Michael. Welcome to my guest, Michael Johnson, Executive Director of Kids Dance Outreach, otherwise known as KDO, affectionately KDO by many, many, many of the organization's followers. Good morning, Michael. Great to see you in the studio here at Channel 8.
Good to see you, Tom. It's nice to be here. I am we've made some adjustments on our titles at Kids Dance Outreach, and Monica Munoz is our executive director now, and Michael Johnson, myself, is the founding artistic director.
Okay. Yeah. When was that change made?
A few months ago.
Okay.
We made that adjustment because Monica was certainly rising to the challenge and starting to lead the way when it comes to organizing the grants and coaching our staff and keeping all of us organized.
Yeah.
I might be the dreamer with big ideas that are wild and crazy and out of this world, but you've got to have somebody on the team that can reel that in to make it possible and realistic.
As you know, at least locally, and it's a model used everywhere in this country, but typically you have a very strong managing director and performing arts organization and an artistic director, and they overlap. But it's usually that kind of model that really works well for organizations and they're locally. IRT, for instance, and Dance Kaleidoscope and other organizations. So, well, great for you. I mean, it sounds like you're really tweaking what has become a very successful organization.
Right, and officially naming Monica as our executive director. It's work that she has been doing for years, and it was just time, certainly, to recognize that and highlight that and lift her up.
I think our listeners would be interested to know that she's more than just your colleague.
That's true. It took me a long time, but I finally found the person for me. And Monica is the love of my life.
And how long have the two of you been together?
We've been married, I think, 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've been together maybe a few years before that.
Okay, and over the course of that time, you also brought into the world one of your greatest productions, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, Valentina Juliet Johnson, our daughter, who's 5.5 now. She's a kindergartner, and she loves her school, she loves her teacher, and she loves life, and she wakes up happy. She's a great eater, a great sleeper, so we are very blessed and so appreciative, and she is part of our life, a huge part of our life.
I'd also like to share with our listeners a bit about your background, how the two of you met. But first of all, talk about Monica and her background.
So Monica is from Puerto Rico originally. Her father is from Ecuador, and her mother's side comes from Cuba.
Oh, interesting.
And they defected from Cuba back when they had the opportunity, which is an interesting story. But yeah, they first from Cuba, her mother and her aunt and her grandma went to Florida, and then they settled in Puerto Rico, and then they soon met Monica's father, who was also living in Puerto Rico, and he's originally from Ecuador.
Well, that is one Latino hybrid.
It certainly is. We had an amazing experience a few years ago. We decided to take Monica's grandma, who is in her 80s, back to Cuba, and she had not been there in about 35 years. And it was an amazing trip. Monica and I had never been there, but we did decide to take her grandma, and the grandma was able to show us around all the places that she used to go and spend time, and the places that she used to live, and the places that she used to go on dates and sit with Monica's grandfather. So it was amazing. Monica's grandma she's sharp as a whip. She is really
A
really
sentimental
lovely
journey,
person.
but it must have been very emotional, huh?
Yes, it was. And she got to see her sister, who has since passed away for the last time. Her sister was not doing too well health-wise, but it was great for us to be able to bring her grandma to reconnect with her sister shortly before she passed away.
What an amazing opportunity that was for
Right.
all of you.
Right.
And family is so much a part of Latino culture, that closeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you know.
Oh, what a gift. What a gift. Well, that's really interesting. And now tell me about yourself.
So I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. I grew up in Richmond with, I had two older brothers, and my parents were divorced, which is not always the easiest thing for children to go through. But I think my childhood with divorced parents and having opportunities to get scholarships to participate in high quality arts education, whether it's dance or theater or music, I think that kept us on the right path, myself and my brothers. Because Richmond, during the time that we were growing up in Richmond, Virginia, Richmond was not the safest of cities. It was quite dangerous. But, we found our way, and we're lucky to shine and have opportunities to participate in the Richmond Ballet and other dance schools, the Marian Mee School of Dance, as well as music programs, choir programs. And my father's side of the family, they were all musicians. So I grew up also going to watch my father perform in bands. He played electric.
What did he play?
He played electric bass, and he also played trumpet. So he was in
Okay.
quite a few bands.
So my next question was, who was your major influence? So I presume your dad was
I think,
a major.
when it comes to music, my father is a huge influence.
So you grew up hearing it in your home.
Right.
Records, I'm sure, besides live playing that
Yes.
he played.
Yes.
Wow. So it's in your blood.
It is. It
Music,
is.
at least.
And my mom had the forethought to think, okay, I have these boys, and we don't have a lot of money. How are my little boys going to be able to go to college? We can't afford that. So she thought, oh, well, what if I put them in dance? And boys that dance often can get scholarships to go to college. So even when we were tiny, my mom was thinking in this way. So, fortunately for me, I stuck with the dancing all through high school, and then I was able to get a scholarship to Butler University, and that's what brought me in the first place to Indianapolis.
So what was it in your mother's background that prompted her to follow this path with her kids?
I think for my mother, I think she was looking for opportunities to keep us out of trouble and off the streets, and putting us in activities that have such structure and discipline.
Did she have an arts background?
No, she did not. No, she was a school teacher.
Okay.
Elementary school teacher.
Okay.
But she was thinking, in the long term, how will I pay for these boys' scholarships to college
Very
education?
smart, very
so
smart
that's
for
what
very
that's when she
very
really
creative, too.
got us involved in Richmond Ballet.
And how did you take to ballet as a boy? All the stereotypes, that's a whole other topic I'd love to talk to you about, but how did you deal with that as a young boy?
Well, we started so young, it just was natural. It was something that we did every day, and we understood it to be something, it's just like breathing. It's something that we do every day.
Were you ever bullied by your peers?
I was never bullied by my peers. I think
good.
in my elementary school, I think the kids often deferred to me when it came to some kind of stunt or challenge or or balance activity. I think my classmates often would anytime the idea came up, they would always turn to me, "Hey, Michael, you got good balance. Why don't you climb up there and get the ball out of the tree?" Stuff like that.
Did you play sports as well, or you had to concentrate on
We
one
played
thing?
baseball, we did swimming, we
Okay.
did diving, we did choir, we did instruments, we
all
learned guitar and
well-rounded.
trumpet. Yeah.
Well, you must have exuded confidence even then, and that might have made a difference, right?
Possibly, but there's something about studying the arts that takes time. You can't pick up an art form quickly. You have to work at it, stick to it, practice, and it doesn't go well. Practice and it fails. Practice and it's not right. And then finally, after doing it 1,000 times, then maybe you get it right.
You know, my earlier comment about the stereotyping that takes place with boys in ballet, and you know well how oftentimes it's got a negative connotation because of homophobia and such things, but is it getting better? Are there more boys being trained in ballet?
Absolutely. I would say, in my opinion, credit goes to Hollywood for putting all of these dance shows back on mainstream TV. When I was a kid, the only show that had dancing in it was Fame, and that was on once a week.
Correct.
But that was the only one. But it was so great. These high schoolers were, dancing their way through the halls, telling their story, emoting, sorting out their feelings through these songs and dances and activities with their classmates.
And of course, as you know,
friends.
there's always been male dancers in Hollywood musicals, and from that time on.
That's right.
So, but that didn't have the same impact these shows do, right?
Right.
Okay. And I'm thinking back, and I guess I just realized it's no longer the Jennifer Lopez show that she'd started with
the dance show.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember I think it was called World of Dance.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that's still on.
I don't
she
think
has
it
been
is.
doing a lot of other
Are there
things.
others on? Right
Yeah,
now?
there's the Dancing with the Stars. So you think you can dance.
Sakura.
All of those things
That's right.
are catching young people. Are seeing that on TV, and
And
they're
then
like,
the
wow,
advent
I
of
want to
the-
try that.
And then the advent of the music video business also, all
Yes.
the pop singers who
Exactly.
use it. And now every dance act has background dances. I think Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he was a huge influence on myself. My
That's a
brothers and my
dancer
friends,
himself.
yeah.
And then the chorus of Thriller, which people are still doing, I saw.
Oh, people will be doing that forever.
And now the TikTok rage is people doing dancing,
Right.
for videos. Someone just put out the choreography of Wicked. The choreographer of Wicked did a tutorial on TikTok of one of the dance sequences, and now it's like a hit on TikTok. People are doing this dance. And one of them I saw yesterday was like a defensive linebacker for one of the pro football teams who did the dance. You know, he's big and bulky guy, and he was as light on his feet as you can imagine. But all of that stuff.
I think that today, thanks to Hollywood and TV, and also the professional musicians that are traveling and going on tour and hiring professional dancers to dance in their performances, I think all of that has done an incredible
Now
service.
you can make the argument to a parent that, push your kids to go into dance or encourage them because they can make a living out of it.
Yes, yeah. There's
Like
a lot
athletes.
there's a lot of different angles. It's not only joining a ballet company. There's also modern companies and hip hop companies, jazz companies. There's also cruise ship opportunities, theme park performing opportunities. There's the whole ballroom scene and Latin dances. There's many, many avenues that you can go. And look at us now. We've had a career. I was fortunate enough to have a career in Boston Ballet dancing professionally. But now I'm able to give back to all of these thousands of children and bring all of my worldly experiences and
Good
share it
place
with
to
them.
begin talking about Kids Dance Outreach. For those who don't know, tell us all about it.
Well, Kids Dance Outreach was an idea that I came up with when I retired from Boston Ballet. I started teaching in Boston's outreach programs, and I went to all the Boston public schools and charter schools. I got some experience, and then I got a phone call from Butler University to ask me to come back and be a visiting professor in the dance department. So I came back here for 2 years, teaching full-time at Butler. But as soon as I got back here to Indianapolis, I saw all these children on the street with nothing to focus their energy into. And when we don't give young people something positive to focus and channel their energy into, oftentimes that energy comes out in negative ways for themselves, for their families, for their schools, and for their community. And I said to myself, maybe we need to start something here for the children of Indianapolis to make the community rising and taking care of our young people and providing the opportunities that they're too often left out of.
And so how did you begin the process of forming the company?
Well, first of all, I had to find someone that was more organized than myself. I'm the idea dreamer person, and then I met Monica when I was at Butler University, and I saw that she was incredibly organized. And also she was very technically savvy when it comes to computer.
She was a dancer.
Yeah, she was a dancer. She danced in Milwaukee Ballet and Louisville Ballet, and then she came back to Butler University to get her degree. And she was finishing up at the end of my 2 years of teaching there. And I asked her what she was doing next, and she wasn't quite sure. She didn't really have a direction. And I said, well, would you like to participate in this pilot program with me? It's a dance outreach program. We're going to be going into elementary schools. And she did. She volunteered. And then she just started working with me, being like a contributor in the idea way, in the choreographer way, and also helping me organize and coordinate with the one school that we started with. So she was there from the beginning, and we work really well together. And I think just one thing led to another. And here we are 12 and a half years later since we started Kids Dance Outreach, and we've served over 22,000 children, and the children do not have to pay anything to participate in the program.
What has been the trajectory in your history? Has it been an upward climb, or have there been peaks and valleys along the way?
It was an upward climb when it comes to the quality and growth of the program. However, getting support was flatlined from the beginning for the first few years. When I told people about this idea that we were going to start a dance outreach program for Indianapolis, they said, oh, that's a nice idea, but no school is going to let you do that, work with their children during school time. They're too busy doing the academics. And I said, okay, we're going to make this happen. Somehow we're going to make this happen. And also other people said, okay, that's a nice idea. That's really cute. What's your backup plan? And when people say, what's your backup plan, to me, that just makes me more determined to make the number one plan work for the children. So, we're just very determined people, and it took us several years to get any financial support for the program. I funded the first couple of years from my own personal savings. And that was only possible because of the arts. And what do I mean by that? When I found out I was going to be moving back to Indianapolis to teach at Butler University, I started calling a few professors that I used to be in touch with. And I said, do you know anybody that has a room or apartment that I could live in? And they called me back and said, here, call this guy. And his name was Greg Reynolds, an amazing, generous supporter of the arts. And he has a house down in Lockerbie that nobody was living in, because he was working in New Jersey. So Greg said I could live in the house while I'm here, and I think he was doing that to help out a young artist, and that's the kind of start. If he had not given me a free place to live for 2 years when I first moved back to Indianapolis, I would not have been able to save that little chunk of money to start Kids Dance Outreach. Because that's where the seed money for starting this program came from.
Interesting. Is Greg still with us?
Yeah, he is. He is. And he lives in Indianapolis.
Extremely proud of what you've accomplished.
Yes.
Wow. And so I take it it's possible that some of your first contacts were with IPS?
Yeah, there were. When I started reaching out to schools, I remember this specifically. I called 21 schools. And I called them. I left a voicemail. I sent them an email as well. And my message was, we're going to offer you a free dance program for your third graders. It won't cost you or the school or the children anything for them to participate. And we will work with you around your calendar to make sure it's at a time that's suitable to you and your students. And out of those 21 messages at those 21 schools, only one school called me back to take me up on that offer. The rest, zero, silence, crickets. Didn't hear a thing. So we started the pilot program with that one particular school.
What school was that?
That was Indianapolis Lighthouse Charter School, which is, I think, no longer in existence here.
So there must have been a visionary administrator that you were in touch with, right?
There was. I think there was one gentleman at the school that really said, our kids need this, and let's try it. And that's the school we started with. And once we had that first successful pilot program, those teachers And some of those parents, administrators told other contacts at other schools. And then we got a couple of messages from another couple schools. And then we had 3 schools. And then from there, they told their principal and teacher friends at other schools. And then we had 6 schools. So that's how it's grown. It's grown from 0, flatline, my own personal savings going down, to, hey, we got 6 schools going.
Well, Michael, I've known you for a while. I can't remember how long it's been, where we met, but it was somewhere along the way in your
I
journey.
think we may have first touched base at the Indianapolis City Ballet Gala.
Well, I've covered you along the way, so I always really appreciate the efforts of those who are founders of company, because I've been here long enough, and I myself was a founder of the Phoenix Theater, and I'm so proud of that accomplishment. I consider it one of my greatest achievements for this reason, because now, 35 years later, when I go into that new facility, I think to that day when, like you were out there in the beginning pounding the pavement about the first very board meeting where Brian Fonseca pitched his vision of this theater to 10 of us sitting around and asked us to be his board members. And the passion that he conveyed about his vision so moved and touched us all, we immediately all signed on. And you have that kind of passion that I've seen before from those who come to Indianapolis with these ideas. Many of you, it's been interesting, many of the people who founded some of these organizations were from other places.
Right.
And so their passion was such that they convinced people they had to convince Indianapolis that they were better than those same people thought we were.
Right.
There was a real insecurity problem Indianapolis used to have about itself. Did you agree with that when you came
I
here?
would, yeah. And when we think about founders of not-for-profit organizations, which I am one of, it's really important, once we become established, once we're growing, we have to find those great unicorn people that can come into this organization and grow with us. I mean, we are so fortunate now.
Fellow visionaries is basically what you're talking about.
Yes, people that believe in the
Can-do it
mission.
people.
And I will tell you, Tom, our staff, all of our musicians, all of our teaching artists, all of our administrators, we will go to the ends of the earth to do something for a child. To give the children the best experience, that's our top priority. And every time our organization, this includes our board meetings too, whenever we're wrestling with a decision, a business decision, or artistic decision, or any kind of a financial decision, everything, when we reduce it down to the one point of what's going to be best for the children, our answers become very simple and very clear. And we always come back to that one question, what's going to be best for these children?
Your mission,
Right.
which is your guiding light. And when everything else around you is in chaos, you just point everybody, this is why we're here. It's for the kids,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Take your egos out. Take your power struggles out.
Yes.
Take all that
in
out.
no way is this about my artistic vision or the story Michael Johnson. That's not the Michael
And
Johnson
when you're
show.
long gone, you want this organization to live on, right?
Absolutely.
So
This
that
is-
tells me you're on the right track.
This is too important for Indianapolis to lose because there's always going to be a constant supply of children that need high quality
You know, I
arts
think the
education.
proof is in the product. Can't you say that it's almost instantaneous when people see those kids perform? It melts their hearts. And it's, where do I sign? Or here's a check, right?
Right, and
Well,
that's-
I mean, it's not that simple.
That's
but
been the challenge for us, Tom, is we can go out there and we can talk passionately about the program,
yeah.
but people don't really get it till they step inside
Proof
the
is
room.
in the pudding.
They don't get it till they step inside and they actually witness firsthand what these children are accomplishing. I mean, what they can accomplish when they're given the guidance, the opportunities, and the proper tools to achieve it. It's incredible.
You know, we've had talks and discussions, and you've heard this many times before. My own experience, I came from a blue-collar family. Although I had really a great education in Catholic schools, they didn't offer arts, which, when I look back on it, was just, I don't know why. I mean, other than singing in a church choir, I never saw a musical, I never saw a play, certainly never saw dance until I got into college. But
Right.
my first ballet or contemporary was until I was an adult. I think. But anyway, my point is when I was a young kid, I would have given everything, knowing what I know now and having seen your company, to have had such an opportunity as what you were talking about.
That's a story that we hear constantly, Tom. People like yourself that say, oh, I wish there was a program like this when I was a little kid. I would have loved to dance this stuff.
I mean, I was such a little misfit. You know, I didn't fit in. I didn't do team sports. I didn't do any of that. Well, of course, you know, at the time, my parents, their only goal was for us to finish high school. It wasn't part of their realm of experience, right? So I didn't really have any kind of direction. And again, in schools, they didn't, you know, we weren't encouraged to support the arts or go to concerts or theater. Many of us couldn't afford it anyway. But in any case, when I saw your first rehearsal, I was really struck by that you were not only teaching them dance, you were giving them life lessons and also teaching them such things as deportment and good manners. And you could just tell that in many ways that you were refining their behavior.
Yeah,
the discipline, but it was gentle discipline. It wasn't like tyrannical.
Right, and children need every positive influence that they can absorb in this day and age. I think the world can be an intimidating, dangerous, scary place sometimes with everything, the internet and the things that are happening in the world and in politics and wars and hunger and homelessness and all of these difficult challenges that societies around the world are facing. To have children experience something that's so positive, so joyful, they do have to work hard at it to be successful, but the way that we encourage children is very thoughtful. We try to encourage them to support each other. I say, what are you going to do when your classmate is struggling? We encourage them to help each other. What does it feel like when you're struggling and one of your classmates comes over to help you? That feels good, right? Yeah. So we can help each other. We don't need to tear each other apart. Let's bring people together and support each other.
That's such simple psychology when you think about it. Peer pressure is so strong to do the negative, right?
Yes.
But if it's positive, you can transfer that same sort of attitude towards the positive as a peer.
Let's flip that teasing and poking fun at each other and tearing each other apart. Let's flip it upside down. What can we do to encourage each other and support each other and love each other and bring us together?
Tell me about the parents. Let's talk about the parents and your experience with the parents of these kids. And do they come back to you and say, oh my God, Johnny or Sarah, they're different people since they've been in your program?
All the time. There's thousands of stories like that.
Have you collected and documented those, by the way?
Yeah, we have lots of stories like that about specific children. There was one in the early years, probably our third or fourth year of KDO, and we were participating with a Nutcracker performance that was up in Carmel. And we got to bring 6 of our children from Kids Dance Outreach up to Carmel to perform. And Monica would drive one direction to pick up 3 kids, and I would drive a different direction to pick up 3 kids because these parents don't have transportation, or they're busy working a night shift, or they're working 2 or 3 jobs, or maybe they don't have a car at all. So we were driving all the kids in those early years, and then we got them tickets to come see the show, and tickets for their parents and grandparents and cousins and things like that. And one of the grandmas had never stepped inside a real theater before. So that means she had never seen the Nutcracker before. So what was beautiful is that her granddaughter told us that, yeah, the first time my grandmother is stepping in a theater and the first time my grandma gets to see the Nutcracker, I'm in it. Oh, wow. I'm on stage. I'm performing. So imagine the change of the way that child might see themselves when they have the opportunity to shine like that, and the grandmother and the family can be so proud of that little third grader. That feeling of accomplishment is something that we want our students to keep with them the rest of their lives.
I've reviewed your KDO performances over the years, and what always strikes me is I love to, at different points, observe what's going on behind me to see audience reactions, and I can tell who the families are and the looks on their faces, or at intermission or afterwards, the love and the pride that radiates it tells me that it can't help but impact the whole family structure.
It does.
These hardworking people,
Yeah.
and the power of music and dance, and the impact it has. I mean, you see people's lives change. It's visible,
It is.
It's
It is.
tangible. I mean, and you see that all the time, right?
Every day.
Yeah.
We see it every day.
And your donors now see it too, don't they?
Yeah, our donors understand all of this very well now. And it's taken a few years for us to be able to get that message
Well,
out.
let's talk about one of them, Frank Basile. And Frank Basile exemplifies the servant leader,
Right.
generous philanthropist who really, and he came from a modest background, as you know. And so his mission is outreach. He calls it outreach.
Right.
And he really took to your organization early on, right?
Yeah, he did. He
And
did.
why did he just tell you he decided to do that?
I think that with Frank's, the way that he grew up in the South with not much money or not any. And that story he tells about where he didn't have any money to pay his tuition at school, so he had to go get a truckload of watermelons, and he didn't have a driver's license.
He was a guest on this podcast, and I made him tell that story because it's such a good one.
And we remember that.
Yeah.
And that's the story of not only Frank, but it's the story of quite a few people in this world.
And even people with means.
Yeah. Right.
People with means who grew up privileged.
Right.
They even get it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And what are their reasons why?
I think that people that are able to donate, people that do have means to support a program like this, I think they, in a way, fantasize that they're a kid in this program. They see the joy, they see what the children are achieving, they see the movement and we have live professional musicians that are playing for every class and every rehearsal and every show that we do. And to be able to invest the funds to hire professional musicians to come and play for our children's classes every day, that's something that's kind of unheard of these days. When the arts budgets are being slashed and music and dance and theater is being cut from schools, that's why we do what we do, because we wanted to bring it back to the schools, because that's what makes it accessible for these children. When you move after school or on the weekend, then it's all dependent on, can the parents get the kids to and from?
So
And there's the barrier for participation.
This is a good point at which let's talk about KDO's fundraiser. Tell us about it.
So we do a big performance at the Schrott Theater, which is at Butler University, every spring. And in the past few years, it's certainly been sold out very quickly. This year, the shows will be on May 2nd and May 3rd. We're doing 3 shows. It's one on Friday night and 2 shows on Saturday.
You've expanded.
Yes, we have. We've had 2 shows the last several times, but they sell out so quickly, we're not able to get all of our supporters and all of our families in there. So we're doing 3 shows this time to add another full house, and we're very excited about it. But that's our annual fundraiser, which we do, and we have a live Fund a Need fundraiser that happens in the middle of our performance. So people have the opportunity to donate. There's always the chance to donate by going online and making a donate to kidsdanceoutreach.org. But yeah, our annual performance is like the culmination of our school year. There's over 100 children in the performance. We have a full band in the orchestra pit, and this year we're also going to have a choir of our former dancers that have graduated out of the program. So we're very excited about this year, and we always have a theme for this event of the year performance. We've done a theme about the Harlem Renaissance in 2019 when it was the 100th anniversary of the Harlem Renaissance. And then we did a show about the climate and Mother Earth, which was a beautiful show. That's been my favorite show so far. And then we had a show called Dancing in the Streets, where we were just exploring different dances, different dance styles from around different cities. And then year,
having reviewed them each year, except for last year, unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but each year I'm always dazzled by the fact that you continue to top yourself, and the quality just got better and better. That show could play in New York City easily.
Yeah.
and captivate audiences. It could be on Broadway, that kind
Well,
of show.
and we have an amazing lighting designer that's a friend of ours that comes from New
His
York.
name is...
It's Yael Lebetsky,
That's
and
right.
she is incredible, and she's so generous with her time to be willing to come from New York City out to Indianapolis to light the show for us for the week. It's just,
And
it's
then,
amazing.
of course, the sound design is impeccable.
Yes, it
The
is.
scripts are well written. And who writes the scripts? You?
Monica and I write the scripts together, and our full team works on the choreography collaboratively, so everybody gets to participate.
And the musicians are
And
freelance every year, different ones?
Our
or-
musicians, they're mostly musicians that work with us all the time, except for the horn players.
Who are some of them?
Well, we have Jeff DeHert, who's our music director. So he and I work together to arrange most of the pieces, and he also conducts the shows. So he's our rehearsal director as well for the music. But we've been working really well together, and our musicians are incredible. We have Mike Kessler and Michael Reed. We have Alan, and everybody brings different skill sets.
And you know, you have a young woman, you've had her for a couple of years, and I rave about her because I can't believe that she is this natural talent she is, the narrator, who's a former KDO dancer.
Yes, Hawk. Hawk was in our program back in the 3rd grade, a dancer in our program. And then
She's so strong.
Yes. Hawk.
Will she be back this year?
Well, we don't know yet what our script will be, but I hope so. I certainly want to bring them back. Hawk is incredibly talented, very interested in acting and theater.
She could do theater or broadcast.
Right. Yeah, Hawk needs to be in show business doing something.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
She has
And
such-
Hawk, I give the script to Hawk, a month or
And she
two.
memorizes it.
Yeah,
doesn't she?
Hawk. Yeah, they do. They memorize it. They never have any notes. They deliver it with confidence.
Oh my God.
And
No,
Hawk
it's
is, I think,
totally
a senior.
professional.
Yeah, Hawk is a senior in high school now. So
Where does
Hawk
she
has
go?
been with
Let's give her a
us.
shout out, or her school.
I don't know the answer
You know,
to that.
okay. Well, wherever she is, they're lucky to have her because she's
Yeah.
a pro.
Yeah.
Her delivery, she could be on television on any station in this market, or radio for that matter. But
Yeah, I hope that someone will give her
Yeah.
give them opportunities.
and typically you're at the Schrott. Is this year you're there?
Yeah,
again?
we're going to be at the Schrott again this year. It's the
Why
perfect
the
theater
Schrott
for us.
as opposed
We
to-
love
Why aren't you in a bigger venue like the Marat?
Well, we love the Schrott Theater because it's convenient.
Yes.
The parking is easy.
Acoustics are-
Acoustics are excellent. Also, the layout of the theater is not so expansive that
got
when
it.
you're sitting in the top of the balcony,
Got it.
you can't see the children's faces.
Yeah.
At the Schrott Theater, even if you're top corner of the
Gotcha.
balcony, you can see what's
that's-
happening on the children's faces.
Michael, what do the kids who perform tell you after the shows? What is their experience?
We've had
This is as life-changing as I think it is.
It is. Well, it's the stories that don't get told that are sometimes the most impactful. And here's an example. We had a student a couple of years ago that rehearsed all year for our big event of the year, and then they were diagnosed with cancer. So we talked to the parents, and they certainly had to pull her out to go for treatment, which I'm sure was no walk in the park and no fun. Nobody wants to go through that. But the beauty is that when they pulled out, we said, we're going to be here. And when you're ready to come back, we want you to come back. And the next year, she came back. And she was on stage last year.
Wow, that's very touching. So, what do the attendees tell you? Have you ever thought of videotaping people coming out of that performance to show on Facebook?
I think you're right, Tom. I have to find a way to make that happen this time. We think about it, but then we don't have the personnel to make it happen. But you're right. We
Just
do need
get
to do
someone
that.
with an iPhone.
Right.
Any random person who knows how to use an iPhone, because
Right.
that stuff is Facebook worthy. I also like to eavesdrop after a show as a reviewer to hear what the audience thinks. And you
Right.
can often, when they immediately come out of the theater, oh my God, that was fantastic. Did you see this? Did you see that? It's like, oh my God. That's when you get immediate feedback. And I'm sure people come and talk to you. You do meet and greets, right?
Yes, we do. The lobby after the show is so electric. The love the pride that the kids walk out with.
It's magical.
It is.
It's part of the whole experience.
A lot of times those teachers...
When they bring the flowers.
Yeah, when the parents...
Kids come on, they're little stars for the night.
Yeah, the parents see their kid, or the teacher comes out and sees their student that performed.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, maybe at school, that child might struggle with behavior or might really struggle with academics or math or something. And this gives that child a chance to shine and for others to see them in a different light, a light of success and leadership and achievement.
You know, I still remember, like, you know, I said I wasn't exposed to the arts. We did do little pageants and things in elementary school and stuff like that. And I remember after those, I've just never forgotten what it was like my first time on stage.
Yeah.
And how I tucked that in the back of my mind, and I never got a chance to do that for a while until I got to college and discovered theater. But yeah, it was life-changing. It changed me. You know? I wanted more.
Right. Right. Well, you're still doing it because every time I see an ad, you're acting like a doctor on a TV commercial or something like that.
It's so funny. I mean, and again, I relate to these kids so much because coming from a working class background and, you know, you're just struggling, you know, as a kid to fit in, and you start working when you're very young to pay for the extras that all your peers have.
Right.
Because your parents can't afford it. So art is a luxury. You know,
is.
I didn't go to a movie. It was TV until high school and all that sort of thing. So I don't take it for granted. And I'm sure these kids, you've opened a window to the world. Do you guys track this stuff? Do you keep in touch with your kids?
We're still in touch.
You're now,
in fact,
you can now see them transition to high school and even college right now?
yeah, our oldest student is probably a junior in college right now. And I'll tell you a story about this weekend. On Saturday, we went to see 3 of our former dancers performing in they're in show choir in their schools now. So we went to see their performances of show choir, and now there's like a circuit of former KDO graduates that are at different high schools, and they're all running into each other when they go to these show choir competitions with their high schools. And we're keeping in touch with them, and we're seeing their success. And actually, one of our former students, Jack, he played the guitar and performed a song that he actually wrote in the show choir Christmas concert.
We'll give a shout out to our colleague, Emily Holloway, who runs Summer Stock Stage. Have any of your kids ended up in her program?
Not that I'm aware of. It's very possible that some that I'm
Sooner or
not
later,
in touch
it's
with.
going to happen.
Right.
And you know now that they just posted something about their alumni who are now on Broadway. And they have people who were in that program, high school, for those not familiar, they're for high school students and college students from area high schools. And at a time, usually their musicals draw like 41 different high schools in the area.
Right.
And they create these incredible musicals, and they're heavily auditioned, though, of course, but you can see the creme de la creme.
Since I've been paying attention, because some of our former KDO dancers are now doing all this show choir stuff, what I've learned over the past couple of years is that show choirs kind of originated here in Indiana.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, well, that's why the creator of Glee is from Lawrence, Indiana, or he went to Lawrence High School. Ryan Murphy.
Okay.
And it was based roughly on Carmel and North Central.
Right.
You know, they were like competitors. And I don't know if he was in show choir, but
No,
that's
Ryan
where it
Murphy is
started.
directing big Hollywood films, right?
Oh, yeah, American Horror Story and everything. But he's from Indianapolis, and he started out as a journalist at IU. He went to IU, and then I don't know when or how he segued into film, but it's in his DNA, you know, the show choir stuff.
Right. Tom, I want to mention Kids Dance Outreach. We always knew this day would come, but the day is here. We're in a campaign raising money for our own space, for our own building.
Oh, really?
And we're very excited about it. We're at 80% of our goal.
Oh, my goodness.
So we got about 20% more to go.
And where is this building?
This is going to be, if you know where United Way building is on Meridian.
Yes.
Meridian and 30th.
Yes.
So we're going to be right behind the United Way building in that parking lot. There's a really, really well-respected developer, Isaac, who runs New City Development. And they've offered us an opportunity to have Kids Dance Outreach have our headquarters there.
To build?
Yeah, it'll be a new build. So it'll be
fantastic.
a space designed for
Are
us.
you giving me an exclusive, or have you already announced this?
We have not shared it really publicly.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, we're very excited about it.
thrilled for you.
And I think they're planning to break ground in the springtime. So
Well, you know what a huge impact it had on Dance Kaleidoscope to finally get their own space.
exactly. And what we do, Monica and I, we try to talk to everybody else that does have their own space, whether they own it or rent it. And we try to learn from the good, bad, and the ugly of what is their experience and what are the pitfalls, what went really well with their design or their build out, what did not go so well. I mean, we're not too proud to learn from others.
So
good, bad,
would
and
you
ugly.
say you're in the quiet phase of a capital campaign?
Now it's now I'm with you saying it into the microphone. So here we go.
Oh, I couldn't be more thrilled for you.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's a great location. It's on the red line. Yeah,
so you can
certainly.
get to it from anywhere now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
That's right.
So the money raised with KDO is a big fundraiser. Will that go towards this or the operational funds? Or you have two separate
Towards
campaigns?
operations. We have to keep our funds separate.
Sure.
And the idea for that is make sure that the children's programming is never compromised because of the responsibilities of the building or insurance or a cleaning bill or
So, well,
maintenance.
have you had any foundations make lead gifts to your capital campaign?
Yeah, I will say the Allen Whitehill Clues Foundation made a very sizable gift
That's great.
to help us really kick off and get this campaign rolling. Jim Lemler and Liz over there at the foundation are just incredible people, and they've been coming to our shows since the very beginning. So they've seen us grow from a little grain of sand into this big, beautiful dune that we are now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, Michael, one of the missions of this podcast is to not only spotlight local artists for local audiences, but also because it's on the internet, I now have people listening to me all over the world. This gives me a chance to promote Indianapolis as a cultural attraction.
Right.
Something that many have been trying to do for years to offset the attention that sports give this town. And, you know, we are a sports town, and I don't begrudge that at all. I'm sure you don't either, because it just points attention on Indianapolis. But we do have a cultural life here that is equal to, if not better than, so many across the country, cities our size. And so I think when people hear this nationally about your program, I would not be surprised if people didn't try to copy it if they aren't already. Do you have people like that who reached out to you?
Yeah, we have. And it's not that we think sports should be lesser than what they are here. They're fantastic. We just think that the arts should be elevated higher than they are.
You can do both and have an interest in both. The kids can play sports but also dance, too.
Right.
I mean, so many of the same principles.
Absolutely.
It's also, I think, sports is theatrical.
In
That's
sports,
why-
they call it practice. In the arts, they call it rehearsal.
Yeah.
But we're practice and rehearse, and then when it
Sure.
comes time for the big game or the big performance,
Yeah.
we're confident, we know what we're doing, and we're well prepared for that.
You know how podcasts work. For those listening, when this drops this Friday, December, what will be the date Friday?
13th?
The 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Well, for those listening far into the future, when we recorded the show, knowing that it was going to drop on the 13th, but there's an event on the 14th, and you can
Yes.
talk about it, you know, and when they listen to it, it'll be after the fact, but tell us about it.
Right. So I got a phone call a couple of months ago from Michael Schaefer, one of our supporters, also a big arts advocate around town. And he wanted to do a cabaret style fundraiser. He has a friend, his name is Anthony Nunziata,
Correct.
which you know, Tom.
Yeah,
right?
well, he did a fundraiser for Magic Thread Cabaret as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Very-
he's
yeah,
a
so
good
you
friend,
know.
and I've covered him, and I'm a great fan of his.
Yeah. So they've organized for Anthony to come to town, and he's going to perform on Saturday night, December 14th. It's going to be at Broadway United Methodist Church. There are still tickets available, so we hope people will go out and buy
How can they
tickets.
find those tickets?
I think you can go to kidsdanceoutreach.org, but it's going to be a really beautiful, intimate Broadway-style Christmas cabaret. And to kick off the night, about 14 children from Kids Dance Outreach will be doing a dance.
I'm just curious, how are you staging the dancers? Is there an area in the sacristy there?
That's why we're limiting it to only 13 or 14 dancers, because it's a smaller area up front. It's not an open proscenium theater, it's a church. So that's why we have to limit the amount of children that we can have perform.
And you've got something special choreographed?
Yeah, we do. We have a beautiful piece. It's about bringing people together, opportunity, dreamers, this is going to be the opening piece.
The spirit of Christmas.
Yes.
And you also have a special guest, and that would be Amelia Ray.
Yes, and she must know Anthony quite well, right?
Anthony introduced her. She made her professional debut at Feinstein's at Hotel Carmichael as Michael's guest here and also in Hollywood. She's a former Disney kid.
Oh, okay.
And she's originally from Carmel. Having Amelia sing along with Anthony, I encourage people, do not miss this show. And Anthony's career is really soaring. You know, you having spent time in New York, you know, it's a big deal to perform at the Cafe Carlyle.
Right.
And he did, and chances are he'll be back. He's performed a lot around the country in all the best cabaret venues and concerts with symphony orchestras.
Yeah, and we're so excited to see his performance and see Amelia perform as well. And I'm just so appreciative that Michael Schaefer and Jeffrey Brinkman were willing to step up and suggest.
You know, when it comes to angels, when you call people angels, for those who aren't familiar with that term, those are donors who, you know, are patrons of the arts, and you know, they have bully pulpits because of their support of, you know, the arts in general. That, you know, they understand the value of the arts and why it's important, you know, and so they always bring at least 40, 50 of their friends into the picture.
And I'm sure they'll be bringing more to this show on Saturday night. But I hope people will buy tickets and come and make a donation if you can while you're there. We're very appreciative of Kathy at Broadway United Methodist Church. Has been wonderful to work with, helping us organize this, and Michael Schaefer and all the people that are helping him pull this all together. So we just really appreciate it.
Once again, for people who want to send a donation to Kids Dance Outreach if they can't make these fundraisers, it's pretty simple. Do you have a donate button on your website?
Yes, we do. Just go to kidsdanceoutreach.org. Kidsdanceoutreach.org.
And Michael, let's close with, you know, we've known each other now, you said, would it be about
13-ish years?
Yeah. And over that time, I have watched you promote this organization and give it your lifeblood. And I have to tell you how impressed I have been with your doggedness. You know, you never give up, you know, and you live, eat, and drink KDO, and yet you also manage to raise this wonderful family that you have now too. So I have a lot of admiration for what you do.
Well, thank you. We love what we do. Monica's incredible at leading as our executive director as well, and our team. I can't say enough, Tom. The team, the teaching artists at Kids Dance Outreach, our administration team, our musicians, they are all in for these children. They're incredible.
Well, thanks for being on the show, and thank you for your for what you contributed to the city and its cultural life, and thank you for your friendship.
Nice to be here.
And I hope next year for you is the best ever.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See you up the road.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.